friends, we have a tutorial on deck today, and this is of the look I did for my July favorites, which you all raved about. I didn't know it would receive such high acclaim. It's inspired by the Korean makeup technique called aegyo-sal, which basically means charming fat in Korean, and it says here it refers to the small puffy area directly under the eyes, not to be confused with eye bags, which are lower and more tired looking. The intention is to give, it says here, a youthful, cheerful, and sweet appearance, like you're always smiling or have that twinkly eye look. And this isn't a tutorial specifically for aegyo-sal, but specifically my look inspired by aegyo-sal, because I don't know if I'm going to do that specific technique correctly. This is just my interpretation of it, and if you wanted to recreate the look I had in my July favorites, well, here we are. And if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia. I film beauty reviews and blush tutorials. I recently added some outfit content and specialize in habit modification for my online coaching. So if any of that content interests you, consider subscribing at the end. And if this video was helpful, make sure you like this video by clicking the thumbs up. Let's go over what I used specifically for that video, the techniques I chose, and that means you got to come in a little closer. Just some more details about aegyo-sal. It says here that usually you apply the soft blush under the lash line, and that's where I place the YSL Make Me Blush in Babydoll number 42. Shades are usually peach coral or soft pink, that's lilac, but I actually saw a young lady wear that style blush one time, but it was more like red, and I thought it was just so beautiful. I don't know if I could get away with it though. But we're gonna try what I did for my July faves today, and says here they also apply sometimes highlighter above the blush on the puff with a slight contour shadow below. So that means they place like a contour line under like the divot here to enhance dimension of that look. And the whole point is to create a cuter, more innocent appearance, mimics the natural look of flushed cheeks that rise when you smile, is a staple in K-beauty, Ulzang, and idol inspired makeup looks. So right now I have a combination of the Dior foundation stick, specifically the Dior Forever Skin Perfect in 3.5N. I combined it with Givenchy's Glow Serum Foundation in 4.5N. Applied the Burberry Concealer in 85MC under the eyes. Went in with the Victoria Beckham Beauty Baby Blade in light brown. And the Dior Addict Hydrating Shine Lipstick in 790 Bold Black, one of the limited edition shades that arrived with the Miss Dior collection for 2025. Just to like start with something, but this lip shade might change as we progress with this tutorial. Now, something that's not included in aegyo-sal is the inclusion or use of bronzer, but I did apply my Farah Hamidi bronzer in Roma because I do like that toasty base underneath the blush effect. I think it just gives it an earthy foundation, if you will, but not necessarily, and I don't think a part of that Korean makeup technique, but again, just being consistent with what I did on that day. I'm gonna choose this brush. This might pick up a little too much, is my Koiro Master Yoshiki Bobo Collab Kakishibu Zomi Dye 3D blush brush. Just a light tap because there's quite a bit of product that gets on there, and I'm just placing this softly through the hollows, but I don't want to go in with too much, and I think I already did. It's fine. We're going to lightly whip this bronzer not only through the hollows, but bringing around the forehead as well. And I'm just taking off a little bit with my buffer brush that I use to apply my foundation with, because already I'm sabotaging my own look, but it's fine. Next, I applied the Soshe Blurring Pillow Blush in Copper Spice. Now, this is quite a toasty shade, might be a little toasty for aegyo-sal, but I think it lovely underneath everything. So I'm taking now my Bobo Chikuhodo CH02 and just lightly taking that layer over the bronzer. And because the bronzer already has that, it has like an earthy red tone to it, but it's subtle, it's hard to detect. But this is where I start building up the color in and around under the eyes. Now keep in mind, if I wanted to go full on aegyo-sal, I'll place it right here, but I think it would require a far lighter, like pinkier shade, but that looks okay for now. we're doing good. Now here is the special part. On top of what I already have on, I went in with the VBB color wash in Coral. This is where I placed it over the nose, and because it is a liquid product, it's going to kind of move around, not a ton, but it's going to probably eat up a little bit of what we already applied. But I don't think it will. It didn't really the last time I did this, but we're gonna apply it anyway. To avoid any staining, I am placing this on a separate palette because, yeah. And a little goes a long way. And for this, definitely using my Soshe mini buffer, we're gonna take the color wash and I place it first in, around, and over my nose. And this is where I start to bounce it close under the lash line as well. But this is what I feel about the color wash product. And I lied, it didn't really eat up. It just kind of laid it down, it's fine. Despite it being a liquid product, and I understand it could be fussier than what we just applied, liquid blushes just have that watercolor glow from within effect that's hard to replicate with a powder or even cream product. Because of that translucency, the finish is unique to this texture. And again, it might not be for everyone, but this is solely responsible for what I was able to create on my July favorites look, is because of this liquid product. And I think it ideal when placed over the nose in this way because it's still lightweight, but it doesn't look strange. It just kind of fits right in. And then it kind of travels up into where Copper Spice is. And I know I applied a little too much bronzer, I know. But it's fine, it still works with the base of it, right? So we're doing good so far. Now this is where it starts to get a little fun. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Unreal Healthy Glow Blush Stick in Pretty Glow. It's a lilac shade. But because it has like that pearl finish and it doesn't have a lot of white in the base, it can be successfully applied as like a highlight without looking heavy. So what I like to do is, just as I demonstrated here on back of hand, I'm taking the same mini buffer brush, but this time I'm placing it in and around the cheekbone area, but I'm bringing it right up against my lower lash line. And see how that has an immediate highlight effect despite it being more of like a lilac color, and why I think the Unreal blush sticks are phenomenal. Actually, they're more phenomenal than I initially thought they would be. I was holding back on buying them, but when I saw them in store and swatched them, I was like, oh. And you could probably do this with the Dior blush sticks as well. I just didn't give that formula a chance because I didn't like how it smelled, but people really like it. Like, you could probably get away with this application with Candy Glow or Candy, whatever that shade name is. It was like a light warm pink, you know what I mean? But this is, you know, this is what we're doing. Isn't that pretty? I think it is. And now, this is what I described in my July favorites when speaking about Pretty Glow, is before Babydoll was tricky on my skin tone because this has a lot more white than Pretty Glow. But because we have a better color base at our disposal, now Babydoll can actually appear somewhat more lilac and not so ghastly on someone like my skin tone, who has my skin tone. So this is where I'm gonna lightly tap and place it right underneath the eyes. And you see that it's going to deliver a highlight effect, but still look lilac and not appear ashy. It's going to enhance the look, especially because Pretty Glow is anchoring with the color, and then you have the coral over the nose. So yeah, this is the look. But I should do the eyes now, right? We should just do the whole thing. So I think for the eyes, what I did was go in with Danessa's Color Fix sticks. I think it was number 3, actually. Yes, it was Solar Flare, and I found the best way to apply these Color Fix sticks is, as you just saw, I go straight from stick on to lid, and that lessens the risk of product being lifted off the lid if I went in with a brush first and then finished with the finger tap. That's where you run the risk of picking up product. But if you go in this technique with this technique, then I think you could lay down the metallic finish pretty evenly. And we could have went like a cooler look, but I don't know. Should I invite? No. Did I use this color? I can't remember now. I think I used Apollo. Oh dear. It's fine. You know, because I am thinking. This looks quite warm for the eyes in combination with what we have on the face. But we could probably steer it with Dior's new look. This is not a new palette, but one that I absolutely adore. And maybe we can kind of finagle. We could do a little something is all I'm saying. Taking this like taupey-ish, placing it over Solar Flare to give it a little more. Wait, now that's too cool toned. That's too cool toned. However, I think we can salvage, because if I'm able to just blend this out, yes, then I can kind of diffuse it. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I just needed a little whiplash with that, okay? But because we did that on one eye, we must follow up with the second. And in the same fashion, I'm just whipping that shadow not only across Solar Flare, but bringing some through the crease. And for the, definitely not going to go in with this shade because that will make it a little too smoky. Now I'm thinking, going in with Futurist, because this brown is just enough to add shading through the crease without completely overtaking the lid, or whatchamacallit, just the cool nature of that new look metallic we applied, and a little bit underneath. But I think I want to go in with the caramel brown instead, you know, just so that there's shadow there, but it doesn't appear too smoky. But for the inner corner, I think it'll be fun actually to match what we have on under the lash line. So if that's, it will be Babydoll. Why not? Because this is actually, it can, let's see, not bad, different, but you know, why not? Let's see what's in there. If you want it more sparkle, however, we might have to tap on like a more shade. And I think that sparkly Arkley shade from Bold Black will be a great choice. And if you're wondering what I'm speaking about, this shade right here, this sparkly Arkley, same brush, and tapping that right on Babydoll. I could have also went in with one of the foil finishes from Danessa's duo, which we can technically still do, and just tap it lightly on the center of the lid. You know, it's fine. Let's see here. I'm gonna put these little brushes back and find the foil side for our color fix sticks. I'm making up names again. Here it is, Lunar Veil from number 3. And in the same manner, I applied the metallic, but lighter in application. There we go. Just like a small serving of it, like a touch. And I think I followed up with, wood. I did put wood on the lash line, I believe. So let me dig for it. Let me find it. And I really should sharpen this. Lightly tracing over the lash line so we could get this liner going, and diffusing with a small shader brush. So my curiosity is starting to take over, and I wonder how this would look with, with number 87 in the cool vibrant pink. It might be overdoing it a little bit, but let me take my same Yoshiki brush and just kind of, So this would require actually the color to be placed here. actually, instead of over the nose, but I'm gonna take just the tiniest bit that's left over on the brush to go over the nose. That's not bad. But now we definitely have to fix his lipstick because I think Bold Black is a little too deep for what we're trying to create here. And with that said, I think Minky is a must choice if I could find it. Where'd it go? This is my Flower Immediate lip liner that just has my lip shade but better. And what shall we choose? I could go in with D-Dream, but I feel like that might be a little too rosy. If that makes any sense, you know what? I think I'm gonna go in with my Suku 109 in my Fluid Lip Glow. And a little bit of buffing I think is in order because I got a lot of blush product on, and just to ensure that everything looks smooth, and I just kind of move it around so that it doesn't look stuck on one place. Yes. Okay, all right, let's apply some lashes and I'll be back for the final look. And here are the close-ups of our final look, aegyo-sal inspired, and I did switch the lipstick. I applied the Suku Moisture Glaze in 05. This Orchid. And if you're wondering, slight tangent, I'll get back to the look in a minute. I do think the Moisture Glaze, as much as I adore the Dior Addict Hydrating Shine Lipstick formula, is superior because of its ability to not feather as much. You still get a little more shine from the Dior Addict, but you get more staying power, in my opinion, from the Moisture Glaze. So you kind of just have to figure out what trade-off you're willing to make. And the Sugu doesn't have any scent or smell, while the Dior has a little bit of a scent to the lipstick formula. But I thought this was a more fitting pairing with the look we did today. And I think for me, I didn't completely dedicate this look to achieving full-blown aegyo-sal Korean makeup technique because I think it's more like literal blush underneath the eyes in like that cool pink or coral shade. What I did was rely on the color wash to create like that sun-kissed effect across the bridge of my nose, and then it flies over the cheeks, and relied on the lilac color from the Pretty Glow Charlotte Tilbury stick to invite another color. So I like the whole blush gradient approach where you apply different shades at once and they're complementary. So, you know, it's like Sunrise, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, but like in cheek form. Because tangerines, orchids, lilacs, and oranges, I think go so well together, and especially with makeup. And the main part for me was combining Pretty Glow with Babydoll. Babydoll on its own can be hit or miss with someone like my skin tone. It could appear a little ashy, but if it has more color support, then it could serve more as like a highlight shade, which is what it did and why I placed it under the eyes. And if you want even more, then you could go in with something more pink leaning that's matte for, again, a little more color intensity. And I could have skipped the Soshe and the bronzer, probably what lends more of like that innocent, youthful look because I don't have the shading here, right? So this kind of distracts from what the blush can do solo in and under around the eyes. So that's something I can play with also if I just totally skipped bronzer and like main blush placement here on the hollows and just stuck to this area entirely using either the color wash from VBB or even another YSL blush. That will be interesting. But this is to specifically recreate the blush look I had for my July favorites. If you wanted to recreate it, these are the steps. So hopefully it was helpful. But I'm also curious to find out what it will look like if I completely dedicated the makeup look to aegyo-sal and just wanted that like full-on blush effect here. And what they were also speaking about, I don't have an appropriate color to use, a contour color. I'm sure I could find it somewhere in my collection. I just don't have it in front of me now. Like a soft contour shade here under the eyes to further enhance like that puffy, innocent look that happens here when you smile. That's what they're trying to create with makeup. I don't know if I'll ever do that specific technique. I don't think I need it, but I could see the role it plays if you wanted to achieve that look. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. All suggestions are welcome. And if you made it this far, make sure you like this video by clicking that thumbs up. It helps me immensely in letting the algorithm know that I'm worth watching, and will also recommend my videos to other beauty enthusiasts such as yourself. And make sure you subscribe because more tutorials might be coming, especially if you want to see a round 2 with this blush look. And if you just arrived to the channel, welcome. Please say some more. Maybe you could peruse the content, and perhaps I'll see you in this video here. Definitely will see you in the comments for this one. And on here again next time.